I've completely run out of content for this channel, so now I'm going to make an enclosure for every dinosaur in the game, starting with Suchomimus. I started with the idea that Suchomimus lies down when it drinks water, so I decided to make a rock wall to make it look like an attraction. I used big rocks and tropical rocks to give it a tropical feel, and aligned it with path so people could line up and see the Suchomimus drinking water. Maybe it would get up close, and maybe they'd see an up close shot. And this is the Suchomimus drinking water, in case nobody knows what it looks like. I'm lining it with small rocks to make it more natural, and I'm gonna delete. I thought about making the rock wall, but then I decided to use multi-walls because I thought that was the best option. Rocks you couldn't really see over, and I decided to just make a swamp. This didn't really work out as a swamp, so it did in the end. So now I just decided to make the guest area behind it and line it with facility path, which I started to really like. It started to really grow on me. Before I was just doing the thickest path possible with the gray path. Not really the best options, but the two facility paths have been really good. I'm gonna line it with drink amenities and gonna stop and gonna keep the settings so I don't lose all my progress and make it look like it's still daytime. I don't like building in nighttime. It just hurts my eyes. Gonna line it with concrete barriers and multi-walls to make a planter, because you can't really have too much planters. I feel like this has become more prominent in my builds, and I think that's a good thing. You can't really have too much greenery. It's good to have that, and it's not just bland. Gonna line this plaza with lights as a seating area, and now I'm just gonna put as much lights as possible. Gonna line it with the big Jurassic World light and the small Jurassic World light. Besides the multi-walls, you could substitute it with concrete barriers, and I think that's all there is to this build with tropical foliage and all biomes and just one building set. So you could build this in console too, just substituting it for Jurassic World barriers. Gonna put orange lights to give it a warm feeling, and changing the spotlights back to white to make it not too bright. Gonna put tables and chairs for families sitting down, and gonna put some place for speakers. I wanted to put rocks, but you can't put it on path. And I decided to put planters to hide the speakers. Like, it's supposed to play relaxing music. So that's what I was left with. I'm gonna start with the fencing, and I tried to play around with fencing using Jurassic King's glitch. Decided not to because I didn't really like it. Suchomimus wasn't supposed to be a high security animal, so I just used the regular fence. This is my favorite fence in the game because I can use the Jurassic World gate. And I decided to make a little bridge for the Suchomimus to cross. I don't know why I did. I thought it would be a nice touch. And I added some rocks to make it look natural. And you can't really put water under like you can in Prehistoric Kingdom. So I just started to use rocks. And it actually started to look like a regular bridge. An actual one too. You didn't really see it because I used all the foliage. And you don't see the land, and the rocks cover it, and the foliage does too. If you look very closely, you can see it though. That's a given for any of these ideas. I really like how the Suchomimus would run across the bridge, and I'm just gonna line it to make it more natural. Decorating the amenities to make it look more tropical, because I'm not sure of the Jurassic Park thatch they already come with. And it's always good to decorate amenities because it gives it a nice look, especially if you're trying to go for a modern look. And then I'm gonna start with a monorail roof with a modern look. I use the monorail glitches, one of them, because there's a lot, we all know. I use them to make a shelter, and because the monorail roof is really tall, and Suchomimus isn't really a sauropod, I sunk it down to make it look like an actual shelter, and there it looked. Put shipping containers to keep myself from elevating the monorail terrain, and now I'm just gonna line it with forest to hide all the shipping containers in the little pit. Now I'm gonna put up fencing to guard the shelter. Not really guard, but outline it. And now I'm gonna put a little circle so I don't show the pit. And now I'm just gonna outline the shelter again, give it the basis. I decided to put the pillars inside And now I'm going to put the viewing gallery. It's kind of supposed to be a VIP section, which I do at the end of the build, because I completely forgot about it. Now we're just going to continue up the fence, and we're going to continue with the water and the terrain and everything else. Going to put some islands, a little bit of islands, and maybe some connections too. Putting ground fiber, because that's honestly the best way you could do a swamp. Water and ground fiber, that's the best way possible. And then I put the viewing galleries, the viewing domes, because that's really the best way you can do a swamp. These 2 videos this weekend are going to be swamps, and who knows, maybe the sanctuary live stream, which I hope you guys should join because it's really a fun time. And I'm going to place up the restrooms and emergency shelters, but then I realized that we needed a connection. I'm going to put up the connection, the remote viewing galleries. I don't know what they're called. The connecting buildings are called, so I don't know really. Gonna build a huge planter, a really long one too, and just gonna align the multi-walls correctly. I really like using these multi-walls because I think they look pretty cool. And now I'm just gonna line up the path. Still putting in the tropical plants because, again, if you want, you can substitute concrete barriers for the multi-barriers, and then you'll have a complete tropical park. Another reminder to please subscribe, as it would be very appreciated. Gonna finish up the planter with the flower pots and lining it throughout to fill in the gaps. Because, as you know, terrain constraints and obstructions are really bad, and I'm not gonna speak my entire mind about it because this is supposed to be family friendly. Gonna finish up the terrain and put some fish, lining it with sand, giving it that swamp water look, and just gonna line it with rock because it's not supposed to be just grass. And doing something I also haven't improved in my builds, rock work. And I think this looked pretty good, especially using the small rocks and utilizing them for tiny pebbles, because we don't exactly have shale or anything right here. And we're just going to continue along with this, our small rocks. And then we're going to put up ground fiber. Now we're just going to continue with the rock work because can you really have too much rocks? I didn't really add any forest, which in hindsight I'm pretty sure Suchomimus needed forest, but does anybody really care? Now I'm just going to start with the VIP section, which is the shelter viewing. Going to use the fancy path, the luxury standard path, as it's called in the game. And going to continue along filling it in, putting some decorations, maybe wall it off. And now going to put up some tables and chairs and some murals. This is the full build. And if you want, you can view it anytime. Just watch this video again. I would really get watch hours and be happy for monetization. Either way, come on, this is the shelter. And they ran inside. I had to use the Ranger Jeeps so you could see it. And this is just what I intended it for, the Suchomimus drinking. Obviously, it would be on the other side in front of the guests. This is the end of the video. Please like and subscribe. Comment down below what dinosaur you want next. And until next time, bye-bye.